The thought of someone killing another human being is often hard to comprehend, especially when there seems to be no motive behind the act. But the thought of someone killing another human being and getting away with it is even harder to comprehend, and unfortunately there are thousands of unsolved cases. There is an endless list, but we found 5 cases that are worth mentioning. Number 5. For those of you who aren't aware, New Orleans is quite an eerie place. It is so dangerous in one sense, and gothic in the other. It has always been a notorious place, by highest murder rate and some missing complaints. This place is always associated with paranormal activities, vampires, etc. The Carter brothers, namely John and Wayne Carter, are one of the most feared vampires in the vicinity of New Orleans. Their story is quite haunting, so is the place where they used to live. They behaved like normal humans in every aspect, and had normal labor jobs in New Orleans. They lived on a street in the famous French Quarter. One day, a girl was reported to escape from the Carter's house. Her wrists were badly cut and bleeding. The policeman raided Carter's apartment instantly, and found 4 more people tied to the chairs, and their wrists sliced in the same manner. The story was that these brothers used to kidnap people to drink their blood at the end of every day after they came home from work. Searching further in their apartment, police also found the dead bodies of 14 people. Police waited for the brothers to return, and they eventually did. It was so difficult for the police to abduct John and Wayne. Even 8 people couldn't match the force of those average-sized men. The Carter brothers were executed and buried. After some years, their bodies were not found in the family's vault. The rumor is that you become a vampire if a vampire drinks your blood 7 days in a row. One of the victims found in their apartment became a serial killer, taking lives of more than 32 people. It was reported that he too drank the blood of his victims. In the New Orleans, Carter brothers are still feared because many people have reported their presence in the French Quarter. Number 4. The murder case of Günter Stoll is identified as one of the most mysterious and strange in the German crime history. 2 lorry drivers found Günter Stoll's crashed car in a trench alongside of the road, on 26 October, 1984. The drivers saw an injured person walking away from the car in a white jacket before calling the police. But the person vanished before the police arrived. An ambulance was called for help, and Günter Stoll was found naked and injured in his car. The police questioned him, but he was constantly mumbling about 4 other men who had been with him. The police interrogated the 2 lorry drivers about the other 4 men, but they were nowhere to be seen. The police officials asked Günter if the other men who were there with him were his friends. He said no, and died in the ambulance on his way to the hospital. The case does not have much to tell, but Günter Stoll left a note which read, "Jagds," which left the police wondering what it meant. The note's meaning has never been construed. Number 3. London experienced its most horrifying murders at the East End, over a century ago. Jack the Ripper was on a killing spree. He killed prostitutes and mutilated at least 5 women. Local authorities and the police were confused whether the serial killer was a butcher or a doctor. Jack the Ripper was responsible for the famous Whitechapel murders. The victims of the Whitechapel murders were Mary Ann Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, Mary Jane Kelly. All of these victims had their throats slit and their organs cut out, before they were dumped on the street. He pulled out the intestines of one of his victims and put them on her shoulder. When the bodies were discovered, some of the organs below the chest region were missing. The police said that all of the victims were easily accessible as all of them were prostitutes and heavy drinkers. The Ripper has taken his identity to his grave, leaving this case unsolved. Number 2. The story of Elizabeth Short's gruesome killing gripped the nation when it broke in 1947. More than 70 years later, the mystery of the Black Dahlia continues to intrigue audiences. On January 15, 1947, the mutilated body of a young woman was found in an open area in Los Angeles near 39th Street on South Norton Avenue. They later found that the woman was known as Black Dahlia. Although the murder has not been solved, it is said that over 500 people have admitted to having been the culprit. The murder case has taken on legendary and become something of a cult mystery. Possibly, it may have something to do with the background of the woman who bore the unusual title of the Black Dahlia. In the process of investigating the murder, the police found that the Black Dahlia's real name was Elizabeth Short. The body was dissected into 2 halves and the face had been cut into a smiley. By this we can figure out that the woman was cruelly tortured. The killer has not been identified yet. Number 1. The Zodiac Killer was a serial killer who operated in Northern California in the late 60s and early 1970s. The killer's identity remains unknown. The Zodiac murdered victims in Benicia, Vallejo, Lake Berryessa, and San Francisco between December 1968 and October 1969. 4 men and 3 women between the ages of 16 and 29 were targeted. The killer originated the name Zodiac in a series of taunting letters sent to the local Bay Area press. These letters included 4 cryptograms, or ciphers. Of the 4 cryptograms sent, only one has been definitely solved. The San Francisco Examiner received a handwritten letter on August 1, 1969 beginning with, "Dear Editor, I am the killer of the 2 teenagers last Christmas at Lake Herman." He mocked the police by starting his letters with "Dear Editor, this is the Zodiac speaking," because they weren't able to crack his code or arrest him. He has killed 5 people and is linked with 36 to 37 other murders, terrorizing North California in the early 70s.